Hey everybody, welcome to American Idol Unaired. I'm your host, Bennett Shear. We are talking to another casting producer today, someone who works on American Idol. Please welcome Khou.
What's up, man? Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to talk all things Idol.
Yes, you find a lot of amazing talent. This past season, I know Paige and Mary Beth Bird. So talk a little bit about that process, who you found this season and sort of what you look for in an American Idol.
Yeah, Paige Ann, Mary Beth Bird, Michael Williams, and then there's a ton of other ones that weren't aired that were super awesome. I mean, it was such a great, it's going to be really hard to have another crew. I felt really connected to this season 21 crew.
And here on American Idol Unaired, our original concept is talking to the singers that you didn't see. So you must have met so many contestants that we didn't get to see, people that you cast, and just being in on the other casting sessions.
Right. I saw most everyone's audition that was aired, like their Zoom auditions. I was on most of those. So from start to finish, there's so many crazy talents. I actually had somebody that went to Green Mile that didn't make it to the top 26 that I thought maybe would have, and he was just amazing as well. But yeah, it's crazy because you see these top 26 people and you're like, wow, they really grew, because they really did grow. Like from start to finish. I'm like, well, I saw you in your bedroom and now you're like on this incredible Idol set, and it's just nuts.
Now, I was talking to Paige, and correct me if I'm wrong, she told me you may have been a contestant in the past. Is that true?
Yes, I was. It was great. I was a contestant on season 11. Fun fact, Megan Michaels Wolflick is the one who put me through when she was just a producer.
Wow.
Before she was a showrunner, so Megan Michaels Wolflick and Beau Dozier were basically what I am to Paige and Michael, and then the producer, like that was Megan, which is so crazy. So when I got the job, I hadn't seen Megan since Hollywood Week of season 11. So I was like totally scared to get on a Zoom. I'm like, but she was amazing. So
that is so full circle. And to think about how far the show's come, and also that it's gone on for so many seasons. That's 11. We're about to start 22. So this show could go on and on and on.
On and on and on. And it's crazy because 11 was such a great season, in my opinion. The ratings were really high. There was a ton of votes. A lot of people ended up doing a lot of things. I wrote on a list. I'm like, I gotta tell this to Bennett. Okay, Philip Phillips had the theme song to the Olympic Games. Like, right? Like, the 2012 Summer Olympic Games was amazing. Jessica Sanchez went on to do some great things and be signed and have a song with Neo. It was really great. Colton Dixon was signed. Johnny Keyser, who was a good friend of mine on the show, he goes by John K now. He's had a couple Hot 100. An unaired person, Jordan Kane, ended up being the voice of Barbie for like almost 10 years, like the singing voice, and got to open for Zendaya and do really cool things. And Aubrey Cleland went on to do movies and TV shows. We have Brielle Von Hugel. I don't know if you remember her. She super great, and she has one of the best covers of a Katy Perry song ever that Kelly Clarkson just covered. It was weird. Like Kelly Clarkson covered a Brielle cover of that Katy Perry song. We have Eben. Do you remember Eben Frankowitz?
Yes. Oh, and he goes just by Eben now, right?
Yeah. He was signed to Atlantic Records and got to go on tour with Why Don't We? We have Lauren Daigle, who I went to Hollywood Week with, which is super crazy. And Brittany Kerr, Brittany Aldean now, but she was also went to Hollywood Week with me too. So, I mean, and all of those people have careers. It was a different time. We did the stadiums back then. Nobody was making it through those. Like, if you even got the first round golden ticket, it was just like a miracle. And I remember in Aspen, there were because I auditioned in Denver, Colorado, in Vesco Field. And then for judges round, we went to Aspen, Colorado. And I remember there was only 14 people on my day that made it to Hollywood Week in the whole entire day. And there was only 4 boys. So I felt super lucky that day because, like, you didn't take it for granted back then because you waited so long and you paid for yourself to get places, and it just really was an investment just to get an audition.
I remember reading a couple articles that talk about Philip Phillips, and Megan was in the room when he was auditioning, and she went to Nigel Lithgow and said, "You've got to let him play guitar. This is like a key element of this guy's artistry." And that went on to change the show because at the time, I don't think people could audition with instruments. I
Yep.
mean, to have that kind of instinct.
So he was the only one. He was the only one that got to do an audition with an instrument. And when we all watched, because we didn't know, when we all watched back the footage, when the show aired, we were super confused. We're like, wait, there's instruments now? But yeah, that was Megan, and she did. She changed the whole competition, and that's why she's a showrunner, man.
So tell me what it was like for you, because as you said, you've been there as a contestant and you've seen how it's evolved. Let's start with the judges. Do you remember Randy and J
Oh,
Lo
I
and Steven
remember
Tyler?
like every time one of my contestants have judges round because we watch on the feed, I flash back to mine.
Wow.
I flash back to mine because I can't help it. I mean, I was 18 or 19, I don't remember at the time, but I remember specifically it was super cold, but it was super beautiful. And I remember I got such bad cotton mouth that like I was freaking out. So right before I went in to sing for the judges, I took Patrick's water. Patrick is one of the producers has been there since season one, and
Yes.
I was like, I have to have this. He's like, okay. And I walked in, and it was just like J-Lo, Jennifer was just like angelic. Like there's nothing like seeing J-Lo in person, I'm telling you. And they're all backlit, and then you had like all of Aspen, Colorado in the background. So just I was like, so I walk in, and you know, the judges have notes on you a little bit. So Randy just asked to tell me a little bit about myself. And I told him about myself and yada, yada, yada. And then he goes, so what are you going to sing for us? And I was like, I'm going to sing How to Love by Lil Wayne. And he's like, and I was like, okay. I was like, well, Kyle style. He's like, well, I hope so. Cause that song was super popular that year. It just come out. So I sang my rendition of How to Love, like super soulful runs, all that stuff. Then, Nigel was like, that song's not cleared. You got to sing something else. So then I sang I Turn to You by Christina Aguilera. At that time, I think they had already made up their mind, and Miss Jennifer started singing along with me, which was super crazy because I was super distracted by her like singing with me. I'm like, Jennifer Lopez is singing. I actually like paused before the big note, and then, which I've never done before because I was so distracted, finished the song, and Randy started laughing, but it wasn't like a mean laugh. He's like, man, you're so real. I love that. And I was like, great. They turned to Steven. They're like, Steven, what do you think? And he was like, man, you can be the next president, the next American Idol, the next anything. I love you. Yes. And I was like, great. J-Lo was like, you're so current. You know exactly what you're doing. It's a yes. And then Randy goes, 3 yeses, dog. And then he clapped the whole thing. They're like, you're going to Hollywood. And then I was like, there's a picture of me online, like where my hands are like this, and Idol put on the caption on the website, it was like, Kyle grateful for the yeses from American Idol. But it was really me being like, you're beautiful, like staring at J-Lo. That's what I did before I left. And I remember like leaving and going out, and I showed my golden ticket. My whole family was there, and they just kind of stared at me at first. Like it wasn't like an instant like, yeah, it was like, and then they were like, yeah, it was
Yeah.
really bizarre. I think we were all just kind of in shock, but to get 3 yeses from those icons was pretty awesome.
Wow. And you didn't get to pick your golden ticket at the time because it didn't have the whole wall. So a
No,
crew member
I didn't
gives
get
you the
to pick it. It
ticket.
was handed by a volunteer. Oh, but before I left, okay, I had just had Achilles tendon surgery because I snapped it in half like
Oh,
several months before that. I was a gymnast growing up, and Randy, before I left, he was like, where's our backflip? Now, I hadn't done one since before my surgery, and I actually was in a boot still, but I took my boot off for the audition, but they didn't know. So I was like, I'm either going to face plant this on national television or I'm going to make it. And I hadn't done it in like 5 to 6 months because that's how long the recovery is. And I did it. I did a backflip and I landed, and I was like relieved because it could have gone, oh my gosh, it would have been so embarrassing. So yeah, I do remember that too. So
wow. Oh my
yeah.
gosh. You and Shea Wilbur both, and I don't know, tell me if there are any other casting producers that have been contestants. The two of you just have so much experience having done it yourselves.
Yeah, it's just us. There's another girl named Felicia Barton who's also on
Yes.
staff, but she's not casting.
Right. And she
Thank God.
was, I believe, top 36 season 8 or a wild card
Yeah.
season 8. It's so cool how Idol keeps it in the family. You know, they bring people back and there's so many connections.
Yeah, I mean, but most of us aren't like producers or Casting, I got into it accidentally because I had brought some people to the show. Like while I was doing shows of my own, I would send people to American Idol, Ken's Hall, Lovey James, and then Nancy Uring after a few years was like, "Why don't you just work for us? Let me see what I can do." And she hit up Peter Cohen, who is our boss. He's amazing. He's the man behind all the producers. He's the one who hires us and sets us in the right direction. And he listens to us. He loves all of our ideas. And so I just want to shout out Peter Cohen for getting this amazing group of producers together, because we wouldn't be here without you. So
Now, how do you meet these people in the beginning? Because before you start working and you start getting DMs from people every day, is it just you out in the music industry meeting your friends and kind of maybe collaborating, and then that's how you find these other singers that you say, hey, you guys should check these people out?
it's mostly just kind of word of mouth
Uh-huh.
and posting, getting people to DM. But a lot of times I'll have a friend that's like, "Oh, you should see my friend," and then they'll send me a DM, and either like keeps me up all night because I'm excited, or I like, "Oh, thank you so much, I'll get back to you," type deal. But like Mary Beth Bird was a referral from someone I met at a restaurant in Vegas.
Uh-huh.
And then they like literally then sent Mary Beth Bird to me. And when I first brought Mary Beth Bird in 2 years ago, it was a no. Like she got a no. And we worked it. She was like, if I showed you pictures before and now, like she looks completely different, but we worked on it. And then 2 years later came back, and it was obviously a yes, because she was top 10. But yeah.
Before we talk a little more about these contestants that you found, I just have to say you have a beautiful voice. I was checking out some of your covers. I listened to Titanium and All of Me. I mean, there's a reason why you were on that show those years ago, man, because you can
Oh, thank
sing.
you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Speaking of which, I mean, we talked about the audition. What were some of your song choices when you were on the show as a contestant?
Oh my gosh, you changed. This is embarrassing. When I first sang for Megan and Bo, I had auditioned a few times before, a couple years before that, because my same voice coach is Paige Ann, David Archuleta, Shaka Khan, same people. The day before, I was like, "Dad, I really want to go to Colorado and audition." He's like, "You've auditioned a few times." My mom had just died a few months before that, so he wasn't
Sorry.
really in a place where he was like, he just didn't want any more, I think, like no's or rejections. So he's like, "Let's just not do it." And I was like, "I really want to go." So I didn't know what I was going to sing. So he ended up flying me out the very next day. I signed up online. I got to Invesco Field, and I went down and I sang a Neo song. And then they're like, "Well, sing something else." I was like, "I'm gonna sing the song from Shark Tale." So I sang, so I sang that, and then it's called Secret Love. Now that I remember, Secret Love by JoJo, but I literally called it the Shark Tale song. So I sang that, and they're like, "Do you have something that's currently in the top 40 on the radio?" So I sang "Who Says" by Selena Gomez, because the only thing that came up in my head, and they gave me a yes. And then the next round, I just did my Neo and the Shark Tale song. And then the very next round, I just sang Neo for Nigel and Ken. And then I sang my two songs for the judges. And then in Hollywood Week, I sang Every Time We Touch, Cascada, Caught Up by Usher, and Somebody Loved by Queen, which was not really my jam and what I should have been doing, but things get crazy when you're in Hollywood Week, especially back then.
Things do get crazy. I mean, my gosh, because that's like one constant with this show is they can change everything. Different people can run the show. They can tweak the format, but Hollywood Week is always insane. I mean, it's not easy in the slightest.
It's not. So many people are like, "Do this, do that, do this, do that." And it's not even the producers, it's the other contestants. And I'm thinking back, I'm like, were some trying to psych me out a little bit? They're like, "No, don't sing that song." I'm like, maybe I should have. But it's okay. Some of my best friends are from the show that I talk to all the time. So
There's a sense of pride to not only find the talent, but to know that they're getting to experience the same thing that you did, because you can understand how much they must be enjoying the ride because you were there all those years ago.
yeah, and I will say that there's a lot of like, "Well, just don't be nervous, don't do this." But unless you stood on that oval and you've looked at these icons and had to sing for them, like no one fully understands. Like you can't understand unless you've stood there. I'd be like, "Listen, I get it." They're like, and I was like, my legs are shaking. I'm like, "I know." And they're like, "I got cotton mouth." I'm like, "I know." And they're like, "And they're so beautiful." I'm like, I know. But I try to warn them before they get. I'm like, you're gonna be starstruck. They're like, oh no, I'm not really starstruck. I'm like, you will be when they're standing there staring at you. So, yes, we can relate. And I think that that's how I get contestants to trust me in this process and to say yes, because I can be like, been there, done that. And producers really care. We're allowed to kind of mentor them through the whole process, which back then the producers just said yes or no. And then we didn't really see them again. Like the junior and senior producers, I mean.
I'm blown away by what's happened on ABC specifically because you think about a show getting so-called canceled and it comes back stronger than ever and then
Yeah.
evolves every year and gets better and better and better. I mean, how rare is that in this industry that, a show which is kind of on its last leg per se can come back and then build every year? Not only the ratings, but the talent, right? And just see how we just finished. I mean, that finale was unreal.
American Idol is like the phoenix. Like it's risen from the ashes and become like the most beautiful like reality show there is. And the talent this year, man, there could have been 4 different variations of this top 26 that would have done just as well. I'm telling you right now. And I just remember towards the end of casting, Megan, we were on a Zoom and Megan's like, you guys are doing a great job. Like, thank you so much. Like, this would not be possible without you. And that was some really nice reassurance because there's a lot of time that goes into finding these people in the show. The show is beautiful. The contestants are beautiful. Amazing.
I've talked a bit about my experience getting to go and see not 1, but 2 live tapings this season. The set that they have this year is just like, because I'm obsessed with design and talk about unreal. The lights and the pyro and the effects and everything that they've done this year to really up the ante. Insane, right?
It's crazy. We did not get all of that. I'm telling you right now, our set was not beautiful like that. Our hotels were not beautiful like the ones they got to stay in. They stayed at the Waldorf out here in Las Vegas, contestants. I'm like, okay, so I live in Vegas, but I was like blown away. I'm like, that's a 5-star hotel. We did not get all that, but the set's unreal. The costumes are unreal. Like Mary Beth was telling me some of the things she got to wear, the designer outfits that they got to wear. It's just like crazy. What's your favorite finale performance?
I mean, Ian and James Blunt for the emotional reasons, but Nutsa and Kylie Minogue with the dancers and the pyro and the design, it's a tie between those two. Did you have a favorite moment in particular?
I think I'm going to go with Haven and Katie.
How much of a dream that must be for her to get to have Katie singing her lyrics, because I know that they blended the 2 songs and I was pretty sure Katie sang some of Haven's lyrics that she wrote.
Unreal. Could you imagine? Like, I wrote a song and now the AAAA lister, the Katy Perry is singing it. Like, are you kidding me? That's like the ultimate cover. Like, yeah. Unbeatable.
And also, can we just talk about the style? Because the contestants and the judges, the whole season, they're all looking so fly. Like, come on.
They look amazing. I actually need to text Megan after this and be like, okay, so like, where was all this for me? Because they look amazing. The set's amazing. The outfits and the lighting, there's just so much that went into it. Like American Idol.
Shout out to Josh Randall, who we've had on the podcast, because he gets the crowd so hype as the warm-up host.
Josh is on my crap list right now. Joshua, you're on my crap list right now because you're in Vegas and you forgot to call me. And I just was calling him out about that. He's like 5 minutes from me. He's like, I keep forgetting you live here. So might be seeing him in a second. But yes, shout out to Josh for getting the crowd.
As you think ahead to season 22, I mean, we're talking about how it just gets better and better every year. So you're already looking for the next American Idol, and you must be really excited about that because we're months away from the next season, but you already are in this. You're already finding people. Yeah. How are you feeling about that?
Actually, Megan asked me this a couple days ago. She's like, are you pumped? Are you ready? I'm like, well, it's kind of hard to top what we just did, but yeah, we'll figure it out. But I saw someone today who just gave me so much excitement and energy. I'm like, okay, we're going to be good because he was so good. He was so good. So hopefully you guys will get to see him and that he'll make the show. But yes, looking forward to it. I already have a list of people. We kind of vetting them a little bit and getting them ready to see Matt and Megan, because Matt's the other executive producer. He's amazing too. He's so cool. Yeah, season 22. It's going to be lit. I'm telling you right now. It has to be.
No other way. How do you think Iam's win is going to make an impact on the auditions coming in for this season? Because I feel like there was so much excitement after that result. I mean, it's undeniable. I can't imagine that there wasn't an impact with people saying, I auditioned because of Iam.
Already had that last week. Someone that I presented to Megan auditioned because of EM.
Anything in particular that you're looking for? Maybe if you want to talk a little bit about Michael, Mary Beth, Paige Ann, what kind of sticks out to you as you're on that computer screen and you're like, oh,
Yeah,
this person's a star? What is it about them?
that's a really good question. Obviously, it's a singing show, but it's also a TV show. But a lot of this cliche, but artistry, just making sure that that you know your artistry, what your lane is, what your album's going to sound like. My favorite thing to ask contestants is who stole your career? Who do you feel like stole your career? And
Wow.
they take a step back and then they'll tell me. And if it doesn't match up what I'm seeing, then I'm like, you don't, I'm not going to say that that's not who they are as an artist because they're the only ones that can say that. But if it's not matching up the vibe I'm giving, then they're not presenting it correctly. So that is a big test that I do with my contestants. And until I'm feeling like they're doing what they're saying, we just keep working on it. So artistry is a big thing. I tend to bring similar contestants in. Like I brought Colin Jameson in, Jacob Moran, Dakota Hayden, Mary Beth. I tend to bring a lot of people unaired. I tend to bring a lot of country people, even though I'm like an R&B guy. Like I love R&B. I try to find JoJo's my favorite singer, so I try to find the next JoJo, but I haven't found one yet. Just real good raw vocals and musicality, and someone who's willing to listen to people that kind of know the industry. There's so many amazing people on the show that know the industry. People that kind of shine through the camera a little bit. And I don't really have a type because everyone I just listed is all different. So
You said that JoJo's your favorite singer. Do you prefer Too Little Too Late, the original version, or the 2018 re-recorded version?
I think the nostalgia in the old version is beautiful, but JoJo's a completely different vocalist and artist now, and she's so free in herself that I will only stream the re-records. So, I prefer now, and I think she's a better singer now. I think that she makes better choices, and she's just, yeah. Joe, I hope you see this.
Yeah, I agree 1000%. I
Tag
love the
her.
new version. I
You
love,
like the new versions?
yes, and we'll tag her.
And the production hits harder. She makes some really freaking cool choices, and it's so funny that when I was younger, I used to love the second album so much, like the High Road, that album. But now with the re-records, I'm all about that first album. Like, oh my gosh, you can get me going on about this. But yes, love JoJo, and I love the remakes.
I used to love to sing that song in the American Idol Wii game. I would hit the stage and JoJo Too Little Too Late. That was one of my go-tos.
Really?
I don't know why. It was
Did
out
you
of my
hit the
range,
high
but
notes? Did you get all of them, the little whistle tone, everything that she did?
no, but the Wii game let me get away with it because I just, I don't know. I did something right. Most of the time I won the game. I mean, I'm not trying to, flex,
Good.
but somehow I did it.
Jojo, look, Bennett won the game because of you. And now we're talking about on American Idol podcast. And yeah, but a little plug for her. You guys should listen to her latest project, Trying Not to Think About It, because whoo, Lord.
We are going to tag JoJo. And Kyle, where do we need to follow you? Because I know that you have got all the latest updates about casting and just things people need to know about season 22.
Yeah, just follow me at Kyle Khou, Khou, and just send me a DM. And one thing I do want to say, I'm like the loner in this opinion, I feel like, but I think Zoom is nothing different than what we've done. Hear me out. So back in the day when you would see the executive producers, you'd walk into a room and it was set up just like the audition room for judges. And there's monitors everywhere, and the executive producers are actually watching on the monitor, like a screen test, like any TV show or film that you would do, you have screen tests. This is your screen test. Your audience is a screen. Your audience is America. You want to connect with the studio audiences, but at the end of the day, the ones voting for you are through that TV screen. So if you can translate your energy and you can jump through that screen with your voice and your personality on Zoom, Like think about an amazing HD camera, and I think that you can definitely get the feels. You're watching YouTube, you're watching TikTok, you're watching all these things. It is through a screen, and you can cry through videos through a screen. So make us cry on Zoom. I don't think it's any different, and I think that people should not overthink that because we can get that. We can get that through a screen. That's my opinion. Take it or leave it, but if you kind of think of it in that way, maybe it will help you feel more comfortable with Zoom.
You've been there, you've done it, you stood in line, and now these contestants just have to log on to Zoom. So easy, right?
Yeah, there's no excuses. You can log on 10 minutes before, like when I do a private audition, we tell you to log on 10 minutes before. You can be in shorts. I'm in basketball shorts right now. And you can do your thing. And if you're not feeling it, you can reschedule. I think that there's nothing better than that. You can audition for the biggest talent show of all time from your living room, and it's unbeatable.
I'm so happy that I got to learn more about your experience as a contestant too, because we kind of got to blend some of our format here on American Idol Unaired, and it must have been fun going down memory lane back to season 11.
Yeah, it is fun. We should set up some like, I don't know, nostalgic thing with a bunch of contestants from other seasons, all like one Zoom or something.
Oh my God, that would be so much fun. It's crazy because I literally just started a new segment called Blast from the Past. And, you know, you kind of fit that bill too because I just
Yes.
talked to someone from season one, 2002. So this is American Idol Unaired, Blast from the Past, and Behind the Scenes all in one episode. I
Yeah,
mean,
because I am unaired, I am blast from the past, and I am a producer. So there you go.
but imagine, like you said, one big party with as many contestants as we could get. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, and just so you know, you're doing an amazing job on this podcast.
Thank you.
Talk to a few people about it. You have definitely have a future in this broadcasting world, so keep it up, and we appreciate you.
Oh, that means so much, Kyle. Well, thank you so much. And if you guys want to follow at Idol and Nerd Podcast on Instagram and TikTok, you can also follow me at TV Music Guy. Really appreciate you listening or watching. And Kyle, thank you for being a part of American Idol Unaired.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.